Ranking the X-Files. Favourite, least favourite seasons. Hello. This time I thought I'd do a ranking for the X-Files, one of my favourite shows, and in place of a season review this time, I may still do a season review, but this time I thought I'd just put them in order in terms of my least favourite season to my absolute favourite season. And why? This is the original series. I'm not really going to count the two revival seasons, mainly because I didn't really watch them. I watched a few episodes of the first one. I was, no. Sorry, no. So this is just the original series I'm talking about. 9th place. I'm sorry, but it would have to be season 9. There's no doubt that the X-Files kind of went on too long, and season 9 is definitely the one that broke the camel's back in a way. Carrying on without David Duchovny pretty much completely, yeah, that was a really bad idea. They just about got away with it in season 8 because he came back for like the last half of the season, but in season 9 he was basically gone. And yet they still tried to keep the character alive, which seemed like a really stupid idea. This is one of the problems with season 9, in that I really think they should have just ditched Scully as well at this point, and they should have carried on with the X-Files just with Doggett and Reyes. Now, I mean, I'm not even particularly that much of a fan of Reyes. She's alright, she's no Scully. Sometimes I think they'd have been better off partnering Doggett with that young agent that was in Alone and Scary Monsters, because she was funny, and her enthusiasm poised against Doggett's lack of enthusiasm was amusing. But I really think it was a mistake to try and desperately keep hold of Scully, because they clearly had no idea what to do with her, the writers. Half the time her appearance in episodes felt kind of perfunctory, because she wasn't even on the X-Files anymore. She was basically an instructor at the academy at this point. And the other half, when it was the mythology stuff, and they're still trying to pretend that David Duchovny might show up at any moment, even though he's not going to, it just really, really didn't work. And indeed, by this point, pretty much all the mythology episodes in this season are just tedious as all fuck. They introduced like a whole new strand in season 8, and then this season they're trying to take it back, and they're still trying to make out like it might not be aliens after all. For fuck's sake, it's aliens. We know it's aliens. Will you just get on with the story? I mean, there are a few amusing episodes. Now, this is something that I really noticed in like one episode in particular really showed this up. I think it's the Lord of the Flies episode, which is like a sort of a comedy one. And it's not a bad episode. It's entertaining. And it's amusing. And then Scully kind of shows up for a few perfunctory scenes. And because of this, you're suddenly kind of reminded that you're not just watching some kind of supernatural show. You're supposed to be watching the X-Files, and you're like, well, where's Mulder? You know, it really takes you out of the episode. And it's like, I really think they should have just ditched Scully at the same time. I mean, Gillian Anderson wanted to leave anyway, and they basically wouldn't let her. It's like, I really think that was a mistake. They should have just moved on. It's like they wanted to go into a new era, but at the same time they were too chicken to actually do it. There are a few decent episodes in season 9. I mean, 4D, the one with the serial killer who goes into a parallel universe in order to commit his crimes. That's a pretty clever episode. Scary Monsters isn't bad. Very, very like that Twilight Zone episode with the kid who can make things happen. And there's a couple of others. The reincarnation one, the reincarnated serial killer who keeps targeting the reincarnations of his previous victims. This is an episode, by the way, that Criminal Minds completely fucking ripped off in one of their seasons. Quite shameless. And the Jekyll and Hyde one with the guy who literally becomes a different person, DNA included, when he kills somebody. That was not bad. But again, the whole season just feels like it's completely unnecessary. It feels like we may have well have just ended this at season 8 and gone out, you know, with our head held high to a certain respect. To be honest, I often kind of skip season 9, even though there are some decent episodes. I often just kind of end a rewatch with season 8 and then just go back to the beginning again. Okay, 8th place. It's got to be season 7. Some people think the show should have ended here. I don't agree, not least because it really not a very good season. There are a few good episodes again. I mean, I love X-Cops. X-Cops is hilarious. Done like an episode of Cops, only it's got Mulder and Scully in, and there may not be something supernatural going on. That's such a clever episode. Really funny, but also really exhilarating and quite scary at times. That's a really, really great episode. And there are other decent ones like Thief and Je Suis is a decent comedy episode. But there's an awful lot of really weak ones. I mean, the 2-part opener is tedium personified. Signs and Wonders is just, oh god, it's like it feels like a mishmash of different episodes and done really boringly. And let's not get into the 2-parter that's supposedly the closure 2-parter. Oh god, this was like the biggest cop-out in the show's history. Supposedly the final answer to what happened to Samantha. And it's so lame. It's like, honestly, I preferred the previous resolutions that we got to this. You know, with his sister supposedly showed up as an adult in the season 5 opener. Or even the season 6 kind of thing where, you know, she just fucking died. Anything was better than this crap. This was just so lame. There's also that, what is it, that one that Gillian Anderson wrote and directed, it's All Things, which is like the most tedious, un-X-Files-like episode you've ever seen. It's like, Gillian, dear, don't give up the day job, for fuck's sake. I don't really like season 7. It's kind of lame. It's better than season 9, simply because it's at least still got Mulder and Scully in it. But I really like Brand X. That's probably the best episode of the season, actually, Brand X. But the rest of it, yeah, I don't really like season 7. But I don't agree it should have ended here because I think the next season was actually better. Okay, 7th place. Now this one might make me a little unpopular. I think 7th place is actually season 4. Now again, I'm not overly keen on a lot of season 4. Again, I mean, there's even the worst season of the X-Files in the original one, season 9, still has decent episodes. And this still has decent episodes. You know, I mean, Home is a hoot if you're a sick fuck. As is Sanguinarium. I really like Sanguinarium. And Leonard Betts, which is deliciously, gruesomely silly, but really fun. Small Potatoes is really fun. Elegy is a really creepy kind of ghost story. I really don't like the Scully cancer arc. I mean, I guess that it's dramatic, you know, it's drama with a capital D, but it's depressing. It's it's not the kind of thing I watch the X-Files for. I don't want to see one of my lead characters dying of cancer. That's depressing. Who wants to watch that? I just want monsters, damn it. Give me chills or give me laughs, but don't give me depressing. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I mean, again, it's not a bad season by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not one of my favourites. Okay, 6th place, I think they're on now. I'm going to give that season 2. Again, it'll probably get me shot. I like season 2, don't get me wrong. I do think it's kind of a come down from the first season, because I think there's, as I noted in my reviews that I did, I think there's far more episodes that are weak, and there's far more episodes that I actually tend to skip, like 3 and Excelsis Die and Fresh Bones and Dodcalm. and even Fearful Symmetry, which isn't bad, but it's not very interesting. I tend to skip this stuff on rewatch because it is not very interesting. Again, there's some great episodes. I mean, The Host is a hoot. Blood is great. The Dwayne Barry two-parter, I really like Red Museum. Aubrey is really underrated. Die Hand verletzt. Humbug is a hoot. You know, it's not a bad season by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm not saying that it is. It's a good season. But in terms of my favourites, it's one of the weaker ones, you know. But I mean, this is one of my favourite shows, so I'm not slagging it off. What are we up to now? 5th place? Is it 5th place? I think it is. 5th place, I would have to go with season 3. Again, I can see this being an unpopular opinion. Don't get me wrong, I like season 3. It's a solid season. I mean, Wet Wired, Jose Chung's from Outer Space, Quagmire's fun, Push is a classic. War of the Copper of Arges, all the Darren Morgan episodes, War of the Copper of Arges, Clive Buckman's Final Repose, they're all really great fun. Too Shy is a good horror episode. Yeah, I'm not overly keen on some of the mythology ones. They were good at the time, but as I've said before, they don't really stand up, especially since, you know, Carter keeps fucking retconning anything that you do find out anyway. Which annoys me. I do think it's stronger than season 2 or season 4. It's just not one of my absolute favourites. 4th place. Going to be slightly controversial here. 4th place, I think, is season 8, which was the one David Duchovny kind of stepped out on for half the season, though he comes back in the second half. I think this is a really strong season. I think it's much, much better than season 7. And it's almost like the challenge of having to cope without Mulder for half the season forced them to step their game up a bit. I mean, I like Doggett. He's no Mulder, but I like him. And there's some really strong episodes. I mean, the opening 2-parter is really good. Actually, I'd say like the first 5 episodes are all absolute crackers. The opening 2-parter, the Patience one with the giant Batman, Roadrunners with the creepy small town cult and the Parasite, and Invocation, which is a really creepy ghost story. There's some absolute crackers in here. And this is a rare one, and I actually kind of like the mythology episodes this season. They're actually kind of gripping. I've heard some criticism of the closing 2-parter, that it's kind of over the top, but that's probably why I like it. It's kind of nuts. Yeah, I like Badler. That's a great episode. I still have no idea what the hell is actually going on in it, but it's fucking creepy as hell. Vienna Alone is one of my favorites. Like I said, I think they should have made her. I think they should have made, was it Joey Jenkins? I think she's the actress, not the character. They should have made her a regular alongside Doggett, because they're funny. She's like the puppy dog enthusiastic believer, and he's like the cynical old bugger who doesn't believe anything. I think they'd have been much funnier than Doggett and Reyes, but that's just me. But yeah, I like season 8 quite a lot. I think the show should have ended there, really, and I often do end it there. I often just leave it at the end of season 8. It's a nice place to leave Mulder and Scully. You know, they're together, they've got a kid. Why not? Leave it there. 3rd place. My 3rd favourite season of the X-Files, probably season 5. I know that's... I mean, I get the impression... I'm not overly au fait with X-Files fandom, but I get the impression that a lot of people are like, oh, the first 4 seasons, and then it goes downhill, you know. And I don't really buy that. Especially since, like I said, seasons 2 to 4, I like them, but they're not my absolute favourites. I actually think season 5 is actually really strong. I much prefer it to season 4. It's got some great individual episodes. Unusual Suspects, the Lone Gunman episode, Detour is just a fun monster episode, and I want monsters. Kitsunugari is a fun sequel to Pusher. Even stuff like Schizogyny, it's basically like a season 1 episode, and that's not a bad thing. It's just a solid, creepy story. The Stephen King one is fun. Kill Switch is fun. Bad Blood is a really good comedy episode. Again, there's some stuff like that, a season 1 episodes. Mind's Eye feels like a kind of season 1 style episode. That's not a bad thing, in my opinion. It's just a creepy one-off story. And Lily Taylor's really good in it. Oh, and one of my that's definitely one of my favorites. Foliager is wonderfully scary and kind of hilarious at the same time. The one with the monster boss who's turning all his employees into zombies. That's fucking nuts, that episode. And only certain people can see what's happening right under their noses. I love that episode. It's crazy and so much fun. So that's definitely... yeah, that's my third favourite season. Now then, this is where we come to the really controversial stuff. My second favourite season of the X-Files? I'm sorry, it's season 6. Now, again, I'm not overly au fait with X-Files fandom, but I can guess that this season is not overly popular because it's basically the season 17 of X-Files. Like the season 17 of Doctor Who in the X-Files. And that's why being me, I mean that as a compliment. Because season 6 is a Who. It's got by far the most kind of comedic episodes and some of the craziest episodes. And I really, really love that. It's almost like the move to LA, which a lot of people criticize. It changed the atmosphere. But I think it kind of energized them. It kind of re-energized them again. There's some fantastic episodes here. Drive is an absolute hoot. Tithonus is wonderfully creepy. Even some of the, Monday is a great kind of Groundhog Day episode. I love Arcadia, the one with suburban horror. That's a great episode, really funny. Funny but scary at the same time, as is Field Trip, which is nuts. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at season 6, and pretty much the only episode that I don't particularly like is the season finale, which is Biogenesis, which is kind of because it's actually kind of disappointing, because this has got one of the best mythology two-parters, which is Two Fathers and One Son, where you actually get some fucking answers and some huge reveals as to what the whole conspiracy is about. I think that's a terrific two-parter. This season has also got one of my other favourite two-parters, which is the Dreamland two-parter, which is the only time, basically, that they did a two-parter that, even though it's kind of UFO-themed, it's got nothing to do with the conspiracy. It's completely standalone. It's the only time they basically did a standalone two-parter that's also basically a freaking comedy. And I think it's an absolute hoot. The one with Mulder body swaps with a man in black played by Michael McKean. Mulder gets stuck with his wife and kids and finds that being a man in black is as tedious as any other government job. Meanwhile, this guy's off being Mulder and enjoying himself enormously. I think that story is an absolute hoot. I love season 6. I've actually just picked that up on Blu-ray. I've already got the first 4 seasons, but I wanted to get season 6 because I love season 6. And that leads us to my favourite season of the X-Files, which is obvious. I'm sorry, it's season 1. I love season 1 of the X-Files. I know that I've heard from YouTube comments that some people don't agree with that because there's not much in the way of the conspiracy. But that's precisely why I like it so much. Like I've said, these days I don't really care that much about the arc. I just want monsters. I just want scary stories. And I'm quite happy with them all being standalone. And season 1 gives you, a whole ton of those. Because you don't even get the first real conspiracy episode until the season finale. You get a couple of alien episodes, but they're not really doing anything connected to the overall plot until the finale. I love season 1. I think there's something special about first seasons. There often is. And I just adore the whole atmosphere of season 1. It's dated, but it's dated in a really cool way, especially when you've got like the Blu-ray, you know, HD and widescreen, and it looks very, very cool. But it's almost got like this kind of 70s movie vibe to it. I don't know how to explain that, given that it's early 90s, but I really, really like it. I love season 1. That's my favorite season of the X-Files, followed by very closely by season 6. I'm sure that will make me very unpopular. Bye for now.